Speaking of Ole Miss, what's the likelihood that Ole Miss improves in the 2026 college football season? Um, we all know what happened with Ole Miss over the offseason, and if you don't, I'll catch you up super quickly. Lane Kiffin got Ole Miss to a point where they were winning 10 games a year. They make a playoff. The LSU position opens. They want Kiffin. Ole Miss wants answers to Kiffin of whether he's staying or not. He says, no, I'm not. They say, okay, get out the door. Pete Golding steps in as interim, wins a few games in the playoffs for them. Kiffin's now at LSU, and it's now the Pete Golding era. Pete Golding has officially had a full offseason to be able to get his team in, to get his coordinators in, and there are pretty high hopes heading into this season. A lot of Ole Miss fans do, at least from the sentiment online, believe that Pete Golding has them in a better position to win than Lane Kiffin did before, that they would much rather have Pete Golding as a head coach than Lane Kiffin. How realistic is that versus how much of it is just people being hurt about what happened? I'm not here to speculate on that. But what we're here to do today is figure out, is Ole Miss in a better spot to win this year than they were last year? Last year, just to catch you up, they went 11-1 in the regular season. They made a college football playoff semifinal, so only 2 losses on the season in total. Trinidad Chambliss played like a madman out of his mind to end the season last year. How have things changed organizationally at Ole Miss? Number one, we got a new offensive coordinator. When Lane Kiffin left, Charlie Weiss Jr. went with him down to LSU. So the new offensive coordinator is John David Baker. He was previously a co-offensive coordinator at Ole Miss before a stint at ECU. Now, what's got to have Ole Miss fans excited about this guy coming back is at ECU in 2023, before Baker was there, ECU was 127th in scoring offense. Baker gets there, they immediately shoot up almost 100 spots to 34th. In 2024, and last year another 10 spots to 24th in 2025 in all of FBS. So the guy can come in and he can make a high-powered offense and an offense that will score consistently. We also have a new defensive coordinator who was promoted, and Brian Brown promoted from coaching DBs, and I think he was the co-DC there previously. We got Joe Judge staying. Didn't go to LSU with Kiffin and with Weiss. He was the quarterback's coach, so he's going to stay with Trinidad Chambliss, helping him to grow and develop, and probably helping to bridge a little bit of the gap between Chambliss coaching and John David Baker, who had not had the chance to coach him before. So that dynamic, I think, can work out well. A lot of this is going to come down to who you actually have on the field. The guys that you have on staff are going to be very helpful in developing the players that you have, but you got to have the guys on the field to compete as well as you did last year. So, who do you have returning, first of all? We got Trinidad Chambliss, alien, last year. Did an awesome job. We got Kawan Lacey returning from last year's team, who was one of the top rushers in the country, one of the best running backs in the country. It was huge to keep him around in the offseason. He's coming back, so the 1-2 punch with Chambliss and Lacey is super important. We got Suntarine Perkins coming back, who is just electric last year on defense, flies around the field, making tackles everywhere. Super fun to watch. I'm excited to see what he does this year. And then the last guy that's returning that may be a little bit more unsung that I wanted to mention was Luke Haas. He's coming off of an injury, did not have a huge breakout year last year because he was injured so early in the year, but at Arkansas previously, he was a pretty consistent guy and a guy that found a way to get open, usually caught the ball whenever it was thrown his way, and can be a really good weapon for Trinidad Chambliss. He's also super tough to tackle. Who did they lose outside of the players that they kept? Just a few. Number one, a ton at receiver. I think their top 3 or 4 receivers left, whether it be graduating the draft or leaving for the transfer portal. They lost a lot at O-line. Again, I think it was 4 or 5 O-linemen that they lost that they need to figure out how to replace. They lost TJ Daughtery, Prince Wilumon Mielen, and Devin Harper, all transferring to LSU. All 3 of those guys I think were going to be key pieces into this coming year. Especially Prince Wilumon Mielen. You can't find a guy like him rushing off the edge everywhere. So he's going to be a tough one to fill the gap on. And then I already mentioned receivers, but Caden Lee at receiver was a big one to lose. who do we intake from the transfer portal and from recruiting? Mainly, we're going to focus on the portal because we're looking at this year and who's going to make an impact this year. Who did they take in from the transfer portal in order to fill those gaps? We got Luke Farrelly. We don't have to get into the story on him. Anyway, he goes from Cal to Clemson to Ole Miss. He comes in. We got Jonte Cook out wide. Carius Kern comes in from LSU. Frank Wilson helped, I'm sure, secure that to happen, to try to fill in some gaps on the O-line. Jaheim Otis comes in from Colorado, and we got Tony Mitchell coming in to fill that safety role. So a lot of new players coming in and not a lot of new blood, but also a lot of things that can meld and mesh pretty easily. As long as that O-line figures it out, I like their chances because Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey are going to be awesome. That's just how it is. But if the O-line does not gel and they can't find guys to fill all 5 spots and be consistent there and have a consistent run game and be able to protect Trinidad Chambliss, it's going to be a really tough time for everybody involved. Let alone even if they can block. Let's say the O-line gets it all figured out, but they don't backfill and they don't get all the receivers that they need to go and have a breakout year. Maybe have a star emerge from those. That's going to make for a tough year as well. Who's Chambliss going to throw it to if nobody can get open? So, a lot of question marks in the air, and all those question marks are leading me down the path to say I do not believe Ole Miss is going to improve from last year. It's so hard to improve from last year. They'd have to go undefeated because they were 11-1 in the regular season last year, and to have a first-year head coach, to have a first-year Power 5 offensive coordinator, to have a first-year Power 5 or Power 4 offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. All of that coming together with a whole bunch of new players and the lines of scrimmage not being completely established. I don't believe there's any way that they get to the end of the season even matching what they did last year at 11-1. You got to think their schedule, they have LSU at home in week 3. Then the week after that, a sneaky game at Florida, coming off a big emotional game at LSU to go in and find a hungry team in the swamp. That's going to be a tough one to win. They got to play at Texas. They got to play Georgia at home, and they have to play Oklahoma. I don't see a world where less than one of those games is a loss, and I think it's more likely that 2 to 4 of those games are losses than that 1 or 0 is a loss. So I think Ole Miss is going to regress this year under Pete Golding. It does not mean that the Pete Golding era is a wash or a failure. All it means is that there is more building to do. Pete Golding, I think, is a good guy to be able to do it. I think he's a great coach. He can build a program. He's learned how to do it under Lane Kiffin. He's just got to start from scratch. He's got to start somewhere. So give him some time, and you'll be able to find some good outcomes with him. But for this year, specifically, Ole Miss, I would sell on them compared to how well they played last year.